Hello there, I hope you can hear me loud and clear. It's Josh here from Racing to Profit and the Racing to Profit Syndicates. Um, this is a video preview of what promises to be, fingers crossed, a very exciting day for our Racing to Profit Syndicates. We've got two, we've got a horse representing each one, and we only started last September, and it's very exciting that we've got two runners, and more importantly around 33 34 fellow shareholders, owners, and their guests are trekking to Worcester, and the course has been very generous, in part helped by the fact there's some smaller field size on the card, but also because they like to go out of their way to help owners as much as possible, and very grateful to Worcester. They've been able to find all of us owners and trainers badges, which is very good of them, including meal vouchers and everything else. The parade ring's fairly substantial size, so plenty of us will be able to get in there also and get up close to the action. So that's very, very exciting. What I am going to do, obviously, is quickly whiz through both races, talk about their chances. I am going to send this video out to all of my email lists. You might be watching this and you're not in the syndicate, but I thought you might find it interesting. We produce, or I produce, a race preview video every time one of our horses runs, and a race review video and notes also, just so you can get so you can hear what my own views are and my own take on the race, the opposition, and everything else moving forward. The first thing I do before any race, of course, and if you like betting on horse racing, should be the first port of call for yourselves as well, is head to the BHA admin site, and in particular the racing, BritishHorseRacing.com, racing fixtures, upcoming fixtures. All of this is free to air, this particular set of information, and you can obviously click on the racetrack and find out the updates from the clerk and the updates from the course. And as we can see here, the going is officially good. There's some rail movement, so in our two bumper races, 93 yards been added to each, which won't be a problem for either of ours and may well be beneficial. The question is the weather. As always, inclement weather is always a bit of a problem. They've had to water to make sure this is kind of safe ground for jumpers. You can see they haven't had loads of rain. Rain likely to start mid-morning. Varying amounts are forecast between 5 and 10 mil. So this was updated at Tuesday around 10 a.m. And from the clerk, we watered the entire track over the weekend and yesterday. That's Monday. Selective watering today in order to maintain as forecast, and not confident on the amount of rainfall over us tomorrow. So they're going to continue watering. Obviously, we could get up to 5 mil, we could get up to 10 mil. The weather forecasts, as could be completely wrong, don't get any or get plenty, depending on which forecast you read, by the sound of things. So that will obviously affect the ground, on watered ground as well. If they get all of that rain, it has to go on the softer side, you would think. That won't be a problem for either of our two horses. I'll start with the Plumber. He was well, hopefully it's turning into a half decent purchase already. 10 grand all in from the Irish Pointing Fields. Bit of thinking outside the box, and I don't need to explain his past form or kind of why we went to him, but he travelled well in some of his 3 mile Irish points, but faded kind of 2 mile out, 1 mile out even, and clearly needed some time to develop and strengthen. Well related, some decent half siblings that have been doing well. One in particular trained by Gordon Elliott called Glan, who has she's now rated in the 130s in Ireland, has won a couple of decent handicap hurdles, graded handicap hurdles, a fair bit of prize money, and was travelling well at the Fairyhouse Easter meeting when being brought down also, and should have been bang there in the mix as well. So I live in hope that the Plumber in time will become as good as his half-sister. May well be that he wants a bit further, kind of 2.5 miles in time, but we shall see. But Amy has done a fantastic job with him. If you follow me on Twitter, social media, you will have seen some of the pictures of him post his Market Raisin race and before it, in terms of how much strength and muscle and condition he's put on. Last time out was his first run for us. That was his first run since November, December time, before Christmas. He did look like he had a little bit of a belly on him before this race. He had been doing everything right at home. He'd been doing everything on the bridle. They hadn't yet thrown the kitchen sink at him at home, but he'd had kind of 6, 7 strong gallops, including an away day at Southwell, where he carted around and kind of led the 2 horses he was with, and again finished strongly on the bridle there. By all accounts, the reports from home are that he has come out of this Market Raisin race in fantastic form. We noticed at the time, post race, he seemed to transform himself a bit to my eyes in terms of his confidence and his demeanour. He almost strutted around in the by the winning by the second post race, and in the stables afterwards. He held himself a bit taller, a bit bigger. He was as friendly as I can remember him. He's always been friendly but shy to a point. I think he's been coming into himself, to be honest, and becoming more confident as a horse as he gets used to Amy's regime, the people who are riding him, and he knew he had done well in this race. And I know that sounds a funny thing to say, but I think those that were there on the day, and there was a good crowd at Market Raisin as well, would agree. He was poking his head out the stable door after the race. He wanted all of the attention. He kind of knew he'd done quite well. He looked fantastic in his coat, and by all accounts, we do expect him. He can only come on fitness wise for that. Plenty of Amy's do. They do well on their second start. And yeah, he will come on fitness wise for that. But this was still a cracking run. He only lost by a quarter of a length. He, if you watch that race, he dictated. He was able to settle on the front end, went his own pace. Jack wound it up from kind of 3, 4 furlongs from home. He kept fighting them off. He kept digging. The Bogman's Ball, I spoke to Fergal O'Brien, who trains that one, after the race, and they said they like him as a horse. He had experience of a bumper race, very well bred. And he just got the better of us. He was probably a shade fitter as well. I think if we'd have had a run, we'd have given him even more of a run for his money there. We split 2 good horses, I think. Only one has run since. That horse was a bit further back in a maiden hurdle at Southwell. Yesterday, actually, he looked like he was running for a handicap mark to my eyes, but that's an aside. And yeah, and the third in this had a recent bumper run and had very good Irish point form as well. The RPR Racing Post rating and top speed figure was decent. I spoke to a couple of people who use various speed ratings, Inform speed ratings. Good friend Ben Aitken at Narrow in the Field, who uses Proform speed ratings. Both of those, and Ian at Inform Racing, both of those told me that their sets of figures they look at suggested this race was suggested the Market Raisin race was above average for the grade. It did turn into a bit of a dash, but they went some pace from kind of 6 furlongs out. The Plumber was very professional. We were delighted with his attitude. He put his head down. He fought. He really wanted to win, and we expect him to build on that performance. Now, the question is, if he builds on that performance, is it going to be good enough to win this race? Certainly, to my eyes, that Market Raisin race was stronger on paper, simply because of what the horse in front had done, his connections, his experience, his breeding, what the third had done. There were some good horses behind him that came into it well fancied as well, that had also run well in National Hunt Flat races and were fit and had experience. And cost a fair wedge as well, bit more than 10,000. And yeah, so that's the question. I think on paper that looked a stronger race, mainly because there are more unraced horses in this race. And yeah, there's some making their complete first start, haven't even had experience in point to points. So that's interesting. I will, before I flick through some of those, just touch on pace. Of course, these pace maps are only looking at horses that have run already. It would be very odd for an unraced horse, especially one that hasn't had point form necessarily, and who might be having their first run ever, or their first run on the track for a little while, for them to bomb forward unless they were overly keen and the jockeys tried to settle them on the front. You'd normally expect them to kind of lob along, settle them, make sure they're enjoying their racing, enjoying their experience. You can see generally from the pace maps here, on decent ground at Worcester in National Hunt Flat races, you tend to want to be near the front. I should think Jack will jump out. Horse is fitter. He's even more experienced. I should think he'll jump out, and if nothing takes him on, we'll try and dictate and then wind it up on the bend for home, kick for home. Hopefully, get a few lengths up on them, and we shall see if there's anything decent in this that's going to run him down. I do think it's going to take a good one. If always ifs in this game, if the plumber builds on market raise, and if he obviously runs his race. Like I said, if this went boggy soft ground and they had a ridiculous amount of rain, that would be an unknown. It'll be interesting because we'll learn something at least, because Jack will be able to tell us how he felt and how he travelled. He's got a slightly rounded action. We wouldn't run him on fast ground, and it could be that actually he enjoys a little bit of cut. You can see there, Amy tends to do well at Worcester, 7 from 24, 12 places. We do think this track's going to suit him. Nice sweeping bends at either end of the course, fairly long straights where you can kind of wind up, get in a rhythm, and enjoy yourself. I've happy memories from a couple of those winners being really super. So it's been a lucky track for me, involved in kind of ownership and syndicates, and now we're running our own. Fingers crossed it may be a lucky track for us again. And it's always great to see your colours on the race card, and those that have shares in the Plumber will be delighted to see their colours on the race card as well, and be able to tell their friends and family as we speak that my horse is running at Worcester tomorrow in the 2:15. Do keep an eye on it, and you can't beat that feeling and that excitement. So he ticks a lot of boxes. I'm going to end up repeating myself, but we do expect a big run, and I expect that it will take a good horse to beat him. Now, there may well be a good horse here. Let me start with those that have experience. So John Joe's ran around here. I watched that race, was outpaced down the back. Junior was scrubbing along down the back, hands and heels, never really laid a glove on them. That race has worked out okay, but yeah, didn't really do much. Then had 364 days off, which is a bit odd. That would suggest he's had an injury or a problem, unless they were just giving him time to mature. And in fairness to him, he did run as if he was a bit green there. So we may see a different horse here. Interesting to note that John Joes are in form. They are going well. He does do well with his horses having their second start. He does do well around Worcester. Am I going to be shocked if Blue Shark takes a big step forward? No, but he did look very inexperienced on that first run. He did look outpaced, and of course he has had 364 days off, so he's got a question. Horizon Blue for Michael Scudamore. He ran market raised in 13 furlongs. Over 571 days ago, so he's clearly had a problem. Hung left, outpaced, maybe he had a problem in that very race. That race hasn't worked out particularly well as that. You can see his RPR and top speed rating from that race, and of course, if just using those as a measure, the Plumbers are much the best on that one piece of evidence at least. But you know, unexposed 5-year-old Michael Scudamore can ready them. It's interesting that this one, of course, breeding is useful to a point. You know, is related to some hurdlers and chasers, maybe in time wants a bit further. So with any luck, needs the run. The market may well guide. Michael Scudamore can ready them though. Yards in okay form. You can see some of the stats down here in different sections. But I can't say I'm kind of too fearful of him as such. I should just touch on John Joe's breeding here. Doesn't do too badly, but again, you can see possibly why it outpaced last time, related to a few 2.5 milers and 3-mile horses as well. So that's interesting. Imperial Lightning is always a danger because of this man here and this jockey here, Fergal O'Brien. You can see their stats with first time out horses down here. The one that beat us at Market Raisin was second start. If Fergal is at the track and I see him, I will go and ask what his appraisal is in terms of how this one rates to the Bogman's Ball, who beat us at Market Raisin. They should have a rough idea, I'd like to think, based on their homework, possibly. The Yard are in decent form. We know they can get them fit. They tend to rev them up for their bumpers. It's no surprise he's been put in around 3-1 either. He's a brother to a bumper winner, Imperial Storm. That's a full brother to a bumper winner. So he can obviously be readied, well, if those bloodlines have passed on, can be readied to win a bumper. And there's a bit of speed. So it's not like he's related to too many kind of 3-mile plus horses as such. But, you know, these connections would tend to buy them for chasing down the line. and we shall see A, if he's fit, A, if he's switched on enough and not green, B, if he's got the speed to lay up and to power on home, which he may do. Am I going to be shocked if this is a half decent horse and he runs a good race? No, not necessarily. Now, I did start with those that had a run. I know I'm skipping around the card a bit here. I've got a couple at the top I need to touch on. Sam Drinkwater does well with National Hunt flat races in National Hunt flat races, which is interesting. This one's got no real form to go on, very hard to get a grip on. Maybe the market will guide again. There's some speed in the pedigree. It was quite a cheap purchase at around £3,000 as a 3-year-old. So interesting, just hard to know, hard to read. You're guessing here. The trainer could possibly be in better form. Only 1 from 14 in the last 2 years, one first time up, but interesting to a point, but hopefully might be moderate enough or needs more time to mature, or maybe needs to jump. Brian Barr's horse is coming out of the Irish pointing fields. He doesn't have too many winners, although I have heard a rumour that someone else it might be helping him train. That might be the right phrase. And in recent weeks, and yes, so he, or a new assistant possibly or something, doesn't have a great record at Worcester, as you can see. Hasn't had a first time out winner or place in 2 years, but only 6 have tried. Hopefully this one probably needs further and might need more time. Only 4, does get some weight for age, of course, which is always useful. Nicky Henderson has one here, yard going fine. They do very well with horses having their second start. This one's been put in at favourite as I speak. I did watch this Cheltenham race back. Maybe real soft ground was a problem for him. He looked completely green at sea. I'm not sure he looked that committed when Nico de Bonville asked him. He kind of didn't want to know going up the hill and just kind of plodded home. Maybe it was ground, maybe inexperience, maybe needed the race. May well take a massive step forward now. Might take a massive step forward for decent ground if it remains decent ground. You're taking fitness on trust, but of course, champion, ex-champion trainer, multiple champion trainer, knows what he's doing. Trainer and jockey are in decent form, as you can see there. They do very well at Worcester in the last year, 5 from 13, 7 places, not bad at all. So clearly a danger because of connections. This horse cost £50,000. Imperial Lightning cost around £50,000, £55,000. Horizon Blue Blur cost £65,000. You've got some, some hefty enough purchases for racing at Worcester in a bumper in May. What else have we got? So Danger, you get the idea. This is a National Hunt flat race. You're guessing plenty. Nigel Twist and Davis, I think Uncle Arthur and Awesome Foursome are possibly a couple of homebreds, but their breeding is very, very similar. You would think Sam Twist and Davis has had the choice, so that would automatically make you think Uncle Arthur is more interesting. Interesting to note that Twisters, both of these are owned by him. He may well have wanted to sell them already. He obviously will want them to perform well so that he can find buyers for them. And which is part of their business model. He does have bumper winners in his own colours, so it might be interesting to see what the market does there. Again, some of this breeding here related to 2.5, 3 mile horses, with any luck may need it. He can ready them. The yard are going okay. He can, not prolific, but he can ready a National Hunt flat horse and does well at the course. So you get the idea. There's 2 left I haven't mentioned. Well, there's the other Twister one up here. Like I said, hopefully Sam's on the better one, but you don't know. This one's a bit older at least. And then, but first ever career start. So are they fit? Do they have the experience? Do they have the ability? I'm kind of guessing a bit. Breeding, of course, only tells you so much as well. Then we get on to David Pipe's the last one. I'm going a bit backwards here, I'm aware. David Pipe can ready them. These are the sire stats for the last 2 years. National Hunt flat, only 3 from 43, so that would give me hope in wanting to oppose him, I suppose, or hope that he's not a machine. Half brother the French winners. There is a bit of speed. Some of his siblings, the Dam one, there's a bit of flat speed within the pedigree, which may give them hope. And if he's got the pace for this, wouldn't be a total shock, of course. and the pipe yard are going okay. They could be going a bit better, but the odd winner, and they're generally running well. David Pipe can ready them as well. Again, not prolific, 5 from 47 in the last 2 years, but this one is bred with a bit of speed. It interests me. Cap guards, they can tend to get a bit better with time, as those stats would suggest, and not many get revved up fully for National Hunt flat races, but of course they can be influenced by the dam, by the mother as well. So if you're looking at that, the dangers on the evidence are, to my eyes, Fergal O'Brien's, because for all those reasons stated, quite well bred, fairly hefty purchase at 50 odd, £55,000. The yard can ready them, they can do well. There's a bit of speed within the pedigree, and he's related, a full brother who won a bumper, and his Fergal O'Brien, great track record, etc. And you've got Henderson, second star, I suspect may leave that run at Cheltenham behind. Completely different track, maybe didn't handle it. Lesser opposition here, possibly. That was quite a big field, deep race, as you'd expect the Cheltenham bumper to be. Slightly better ground as well. So those two on paper, you can see why they're the main dangers and why one's put in favourite, and Imperial Lightning at the moment around 3-1 is the same price as the Plumber. Of course, we have a recent run under our belt, we have a recent good run under our belt, and he's taken a massive step forward, and he's quite uncomplicated and will be fitter than last time out and more mentally mature, I think. So we will learn plenty here, and we will see what happens. I've ticked around to 20 minutes on the first race, but hopefully I've said something interesting and useful there, and I should stop talking. I don't think I can add too much more without repeating myself. Yeah, like I said, it will be interesting, and we shall see how they'll go. Having mentioned Imperial and Royal Max, we'll keep an eye on what the market does with the pipe horses and the two Twist and Davis horses as well. Nothing is ever a total shock in a National Hunt flat race, of course, especially when you're dealing with unraced horses, but we set a pretty decent bar, and a pretty decent recent bar, and hopefully he can build on that and sets a standard for the others to match, and hopefully they don't match it, but we will about to find out, and by 20 past 3, 25 past 2 even, we will have a clear picture. Hopefully we are drinking winners champagne and jumping around like lunatics. Fingers crossed, but as long as he and Jack comes back safe, that's the main thing. He's shown plenty of ability already and at home, and I'm very confident he's going to win races. It's just a question of when, hopefully starting in this Worcester race. Now I'm going to jump over to the 250. I've 20 minutes in. I'll try and keep this one a bit short, to maybe even more guesswork. You could argue possibly that on paper this is a bit deeper than the first one, but that remains to be seen. We've got a Neil Mulholland horse here who ran fourth in a point-to-point. Sam Twiston-Davies, interestingly, his dad has two horses in this race. Sam is riding for Neil Mulholland. That might tell you what he thinks about them, hopefully. So hopefully they're moderate enough, because if one of them was prepped and Connections thought was ready to win, you would think Sam was going to be on that, unless Neil is desperate for Sam to be on this one. So it may be more a positive for Celtic Fortune than a negative for these two, but mixed signals there. Neil Mulholland does just fine in National Hunt flat races. The yard are going okay, and he can ready them on their first start. He does have point experience, did run okay there. 5-year-old, it is his first start in 185 days, so we shall see. Ben Paulings we've got here. Keelan Woods is riding with confidence. This one is related to Virac, who was very smart over 2 mile all the way up to 3 mile 1. Point winners. Some of this breeding and on paper, and the family would suggest wants to jump a hurdle or a fence and may want further in time. Ben Pauling can ready them, again not prolific, 3 from 43, 12 places, but he can ready them. Yard in form, decent track stats. Hard to know what to make of this one. Could well be ready, could be outpaced, may need the run, maybe too inexperienced, may not be, who knows. You are guessing a bit unless you have horses with Ben Pauling or aligned to Ben Pauling and he tells you what he thinks about Hirac's chance. So that's interesting enough. Then we've got Warren Greattrex horse. Now this one has had a run, had experience, that automatically puts him a step ahead of the unraced ones, arguably. Knows what he's doing, did make a good move as their headway 5 out, ridden out, pace 3 out, rally 2 out, weakened over 1 out. That was his first ever start. 112 days later, will he be fitter? Will he step forward? That was an okay race, a Newbury National Hunt flat race. You would assume they're normally deep enough. But He was outpaced there. Will he have learnt enough? Will he come on again? You can see half brother to 4 winners, Cabaret Queen. So that breeding's pretty good. But she's a 2.5 mile, 3 mile horse. Internal transfer again. They've all got a bit of stamina about them. So maybe Militaire is going to improve when stepped up in trip and jumping a hurdle or jumping a fence. But as you can see here, some of these sire stats, Soldier of Fortune in National Hunt flat races the last 2 years, does get plenty of winners. So I'm not going to be shocked if this one takes a big step forward. Maybe they'll make more use of him, put that stamina to good use as well. So interesting enough. New Beginnings, John Joe has one owned by the yard sponsor, and I should think he always wants those to do quite well. John Joe can ready them. First ever start, 11:52, 22 place. You can see the stats there. This one looks a danger. Yard in form, decent course form, can ready them. Will he be ready? We shall see. New Beginnings, you can see there again, decent percentages for National Hunt Flat for the sire for the last 2 years. Jump speed, jumps 3 to 5 year olds. Dam 2 mile, 4 to 3 mile hurdle winner, half sister. So there is fair bit of staying potential in the pedigree, but then you can often say if a horse wins well in a National Hunt Flat race, that's sometimes a good sign that they will get 3 miles in time. So interesting. New Beginnings is interesting, I think, and the market may well guide. Of course, when we're trackside, we're going to be able to see these in the parade ring, see who looks fit, see who's kind of settled, well behaved, looks like they know what they're doing. Val Dancer is interesting for Mel Rowley. That yard's in form. They do well with first starters. This one has run well in a point to point, so a bit more streetwise, knows what the game's about, a bit more experience. This one's been put in near the top of the market as well. Again, bit of the unknowns. You're not much to go on, but yes, point-to-point form. But again, will this one want a bit further in time, but maybe able to put that experience to good use? You've got Twisters too. This one didn't do much on debut, and you'd suggest need to take a massive step forward from somewhere. First start 163 days, 65 days. May want time, may want, well, there's some speed in the pedigree, maybe just slow, who knows. But again, plenty of guessing. Some of those trainer stats apply as well. Nico's riding well, but like I said, Sam Twister, you'd have thought, would have had the choice of his dad's. This one's related to a few stayers as well. Nigel will want them to run well so he can sell this one. This is another one in his own colours. 4-year-old, maybe inexperienced. He's up against some older horses here. 100 not out, another Fergal. O'Brien horse, we know that, trainer in form. This one's had 2 runs. Clearly got experience, first run 196 days, but clearly on that evidence is open to attack from something that's got a bit more about them. He's had 2 goes in National Hunt Flat races, hasn't been able to win. He might be open to attack from something else, or that experience and just building slightly on those performances is good enough. We've got the Neil King horse down here. The yard are going well. Neil King can ready them. He also does well at Worcester. This one is a filly as well, so like us, Proud Mary, we get kind of a filly's allowance as well. So filly and mare's allowance, half this of the 4 winners. So this one's got some speed, a mix of speed and stamina in the pedigree. And yeah, again, complete unknown, could be half decent. Already had a wind up and wears a hood, that might raise some questions. Again, hard to know what to expect. So at this point, it feels open. It's really hard to know what's going to step forward, what's going to be ready, what's going to be fit, and kind of where their level of ability and maturity is at this stage. The market can guide, your eyes pre-race can guide. Nothing in this race is going to be that much of a surprise. That leaves one horse, of course, Proud Mary, who's representative for Racing to Profit Syndicate number 1, and in number 1 we lease a couple of horses from Amy to have kind of 2 running through the year. That didn't work out quite so well on one side. We had a couple of goes with Mercy and Knight, and then G8, who got us to the racetrack 7 or 8 times between them, but were not too competitive and have now been retired to find different careers. The hope and shining light of Syndicate number 1 has been Proud Mary. She, we wanted to get her on the racetrack a lot earlier than this. We were hoping we'd get kind of 2 or 3 runs out of her this season. She had some mid-season growing pains, nothing major, but Amy eased off her for kind of 2 months, took her out of hard work, having kind of have been building her up to kind of running around Christmas time. So had to really ease off, then build back up into work. Then we were waiting for ground that was okay and safe for her, because she is going to want softer ground in time. Worcester is known to water plenty and probably puts down the most water of any track at this time of year. And of course, it looks like we're going to be lucky with the weather forecast, because she won't mind any rain falling. What can we say about her? Well, she is well, not regally bred might be the wrong phrase, but her mother, Mariah Rollins, was a Grade 1 winner and multiple winner, and I'll get onto that breeding in a moment. She is a half sister to winners Pendra, so her dam has produced Pendra. He was very smart, multiple winner. He did win a bumper, so no forlorn hope there. Mercian King, who has won plenty of races, he's a 2 mile, 2 mile too. But as you can see, some of these develop over time as they start jumping hurdles, jumping chases, develop with age. Mariah's Legend, 2 mile 4 hurdle. And her dam herself, Mariah Rollins, was a very smart 2 mile to 2 mile 4 hurdle chaser. So she's not necessarily got a bumper speed pedigree, but she's not kind of got a slogger's pedigree either. And yeah, what can I tell you about her? So she's done plenty of work at home. With each bit of fast work, she has got better and better. She's got better mentally. She's more switched on. She's been training in between horses. She's really been building up her experience. She had an away day. She went with a Plumber and a few others to Southall a few weeks back and got experience going around there on the all-weather track. She learned plenty from that experience as well. Her last piece of work, she travelled strongly. And she has been taking steps forward at home. She was quite on her first ever piece of fast work a few weeks back. She was a bit green, but she's been learning with each bit of fast work and each bit of experience and that track away day. Anything could happen here, actually, is the thing to say. Now, she will, you can see here, Amy does have first time out winners. This will be across all codes, but plenty of Amy's do come on for the run. The yard are in fine form, and they're all kind of 63% rivals beat and do well at the course, as we know. Does well enough in National Hunt flat races. You give Amy Murphy the ammunition, whether on flat, jumps, hurdles, chases, bumpers, they'll get the job done. But while taking care of the horse and making sure we get longevity out of them. Proud Mary is all about the future. If she lives up to be half as good as her mother is, then we are going to have plenty of fun in the years ahead. She's been bred by Amy's dad, Paul Murphy. He owns her. We lease Proud Mary off Amy for as long as we want her, and as long as until Paul, the plan will be to breed from her in time. But we want her, obviously, and so does he, to win the best races she can. So in time, she is going to be aimed at next season some Class 1 novice hurdles and so on, and we shall see and give us some big days out. If she can develop like her siblings. She does have a touch of class about her, and she struts around like she knows she has a bit of class about her. She's a bit of a stamp of a mare. She will come on for this run. That's not to say she won't be fit enough to mix it in the front three, because I think she will be, because she's done enough work. But it could be she travels really well to kind of 3 furlongs out and then blows up, and then just kind of Jack looks after and she comes home. It could be she gets a second wind and her class and ability gets her through. Would I be shocked and fall off my seat if she won? No. Would I be shocked and fall off my seat if she finished a decent running on 3rd or 4th? No. She could travel well to 2-3 furlongs out. She might look all a bit at sea, or maybe a bit inexperienced, and then it may click and she may rattle home again. Or, like I said, it might transpire that she isn't quite fit enough to win this particular race. But it is open. Plenty of them have fitness questions, plenty of them have inexperience questions. There's a few I've touched on which do look interesting, and like I said, the market will guide. The market won't guide with us. Adrift doesn't necessarily mean anything. We like her, Amy likes her, Dad likes her, but it is all about the future. But she is very well bred, and she will be fit enough to do herself justice. We shall see if she's got the experience, and of course we shall see if she's got the pace. And I say that, and maybe the final thing I'll finish on, this is horse race base. This is just the first race. Horse race base ratings can be some guide, but only 4 of them have had a run. But of those who have had a run, the Plumber, on their figures at least, looks half decent, so that's a positive. 250 Worcester, is the next one, Proud Mary, I want to touch on. Out of Mariah Rollins. Now I can look at Mariah Rollins' race career, 6 from 27, raced in Ireland for Peter Fahey. Now, importantly, she did nothing on her first 3 National Hunt Flat races. It took a little while for the penny to drop and it to click, and then she won at Thurles. Fairly stiff National Hunt Flat track there, 18 runners, and then her kind of career took off. So maybe Proud Mary, don't be disheartened if she does nothing and tails off or runs well to a point. We obviously want to see promise, we want to see ability, but she may copy her mother, run well for a certain time, and then fade. But we will have plenty of fun when she comes back into training after her holidays in the autumn. But then she ran some crackers in National Hunt Flat races here. And has run well in then novice hurdles, went up grade 2 winner and then a grade 1 winner in a novice chase. You can see there at Leopardstown. Really smart mare, and has produced some decent horses. If I just go back to there, where are we going? Let's go back. Yeah, Dan Mariah Rollins. Yeah, you can see the progeny here. Sorry, those that have produced Tupolev, Pendra, 6 from 19, Mercy King, 4-time winner. Mariah's Legend won a race as well. So she's bred to be half decent, and yeah, it's exciting. So fingers crossed. I've been talking for far too long, 35 minutes. But yes, we will see what Proud Mary does out of Scirocco, which is exciting. He's a very good sire, and yeah, fingers crossed. She has at times been working with the Plumber and working well as also. So yeah, it's a big day out for the syndicate. It's very exciting. 33 of us there. We're going to have a great time. Great spread will be put on, no doubt. There'll be a few drinks flying around. We'll all get in the parade ring. We'll all have plenty of time. Do follow me on Twitter, Josh_HW, and I'll try and post some things from trackside as well. I'll be keeping up to date with members who can't be at the races within our WhatsApp group. I'll be sending them videos, Jack's pre-race thoughts, his pre-race debrief, maybe a chat with Amy, a chat with some of the other owners. There'll be videos of the horses out in the parade ring, and everything else besides. So we like to keep owners up to date, even if they're sat at home watching via our WhatsApp group. So that's all very exciting. And yeah, with that said, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Hopefully that's given you an idea of kind of what we expect. There is clearly plenty of guesswork to go on. We're very hopeful and confident the Plumber's going to run a very big race, and we're hopeful the Proud Mary is going to do herself justice and show us something, and it could be quite exciting as they turn for home, and then we will see what happens. So with that said, yeah, fingers crossed. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and yeah, wish us luck and cheer us home. But with that said, this is Josh saying, yeah, bye for now, speak soon.